Siwezi kuimba bila wewe, sisongi mbele bila wewe Yesu. Siwezi kuishi bila wewe, uwezo wangu ni wewe tu. Roho yangu ya kutamani na kuhitaji Yesu, nafsi yangu ya kulilia na kuhitaji Yesu. Siwezi kuimba bila wewe, sisongi mbele bila wewe Yesu. Siwezi kuishi bila wewe, uwezo wangu ni wewe tu. Roho yangu ya kutamani na kuhitaji Yesu, nafsi yangu ya kulilia na kuhitaji Yesu. Roho yangu ya kutamani na kuhitaji Yesu, nafsi yangu ya kulilia na kutamani Yesu. Unastahili wewe, na kuhitaji na kutamani. Wastahili ewe Bwana kupokea utukufu. Wastahili ewe Bwana, wastahili ewe Bwana, wastahili ewe Bwana kupokea utukufu. Wastahili ewe Bwana, wastahili ewe Bwana, wastahili ewe Bwana kupokea utukufu, kupokea utukufu. Tunainua jina lako Baba, umeinuliwa juu ya vyote, juu ya vyote. Bwana umeinuliwa kiti chako cha enzi. Bwana, umeinuliwa katika kiti chako cha enzi. Utukufu, heshima zina wewe. Utukufu, heshima zina wewe. Utukufu na heshima zina wewe. Utukufu, heshima zina wewe. Bwana, umeinuliwa katika kiti chako cha enzi. Bwana, umeinuliwa katika kiti chako cha enzi. Tunakuinua Baba. Bwana, umeinuliwa katika kiti chako cha enzi. Katika kiti chako cha enzi. Katika kiti chako cha enzi. Hakuna kama wewe. Uinuliwe, uabudiwe. Uinuliwe, uabudiwe. Uinuliwe, uabudiwe. Uinuliwe, uabudiwe. Wewe ni mkuu, wewe uabudiwe. Uabudiwe juu ya vyote Baba, uinuliwe. Uabudiwe.
Happy New Year, beloved friends. It's so wonderful to be together with you again this new year. What a blessing it is that God has seen us through what was a very challenging past year, and He has blessed us with the next year, a new year, for us to continue journeying with Him, for us to continue figuring out how we collectively can be a community of Jesus. And I am so grateful that we have that chance to do so together. And this day, I would like to reflect together with you a few thoughts on gratitude. So would you briefly read with me Luke chapter 17, verse 11 to 19. Luke 17, 11 to 19. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he said to them, Go, show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God, except this foreigner? Then he said to him, Get up, go on your way. Your faith has made you well. What a powerful passage on gratitude and its impact on our lives. I think gratitude is such a powerful posture for a fulfilling life, especially right now at the turn of a new year, when we are all anticipating and hoping and dreaming of what we'll make of our lives in this new year. Gratitude is one of those things that can be so central, that should be a must as we think about the kind of life we want to see. Not only does gratitude train our eyes to see the goodness and the blessing that has been with us all along, that has come our way as we move through life, training the eye to notice it and to acknowledge it. That is what gratitude does. But not only that, and not only does gratitude remind us that in the midst of the storm and the turmoil and the chaos, that there's still so much goodness going on for each one of us. That's what also gratitude does. But I think gratitude, especially when we reflect on the passage that we just read, gratitude is how we heal. And we live at such a time. We've gone through very interesting kind of journeys, both at a personal and communal and societal level, to know that we need some healing to come our way. Gratitude is that which compels us to pause right in the midst of life, right in the midst of our tracks, in the midst of the hurry and the rush of life, to pause and look back and acknowledge all the ways that God has been present to each one of us as we have lived. All the ways that God has come through for us. That is what gratitude does. I may be going through difficult circumstances. Life may not be all that I was expecting, or things have been unfolding so well. Gratitude compels us and invites us to pause, to look back and acknowledge these are all the ways God has indeed come through for us. So, in as much as the God of the scriptures is a God who's always doing a new thing, beginning something new, restoring something to its newness, to its wholeness. In as much as God is always doing a new thing in the scriptures, God is also the God of remembrance. Throughout the scripture, we see him urging his people over and over again, remember how I did this for you. Remember when. Remember how I came through for you. God is also a God of remembrance, inviting us to look back and to see his faithfulness all along and be grateful for it and strengthen our faith and strengthen our trust in him. In this remembering, what we find is gratitude. What we should find is gratitude. But I would say that is not all that we find whenever we look back. Sometimes whenever you and I look back, what we find is regret. What we find is hurt. Sometimes we find unforgiveness. Sometimes we find such a troubled past that we are unwilling to step in there and to face it. And this is not to be brushed off so easily in the guise of moving on quickly to the newness that is ahead of us. It is to be faced. It is to be healed. It is to be reconciled. And I want to suggest that gratitude is how we begin the healing. Gratitude is how we realize what it means to be whole. You know, from the story we read, there were 10 lepers. 10 lepers, but there was only one grateful human being. As they went, they were cured of their leprosy, but only one returned in such a humble posture of and gave thanks. And even you can see how Jesus is so heartbroken when he says, were they not 10? Yeah. So there were 10 lepers They were cured of their leprosy, but only one of them had their soul cured of all the trouble that it carried. I believe the 9 who were healed did indeed live long and live a life free of leprosy. But this one thankful human being lived a different kind of life. He lived with a story to tell. He carried so much joy and thankfulness in his life. I recall him over and over again, perhaps giving a testimony, telling his friends, one day I met a Messiah. He cured my leprosy and he blessed my soul. That is the kind of openness that gratitude presents to us. He had been freed not just from leprosy, but from many other soul problems. Maybe he was freed from entitlement, from regret, from bitterness. Jesus makes a footnote to say that this is the foreigner, only a foreigner who came to give thanks. It means perhaps the other 9 were not foreigners. They were Jews. Maybe they were so entitled they felt like healing is their right, that they didn't think they could go and give thanks. But this one person in humility came and gave thanks. And what happens is that not only is he cured of his leprosy, but his soul, his heart is enlarged and empowered to live a more wholesome life. So, my dear friends, what if we decided that the one thing that must be part of our lives is a grateful posture? That this is the one thing we cannot move on without. This is the one practice we must cultivate in our lives. What if that was a decision we made? You see, things like worry and anxiety do not ask for permission to enter our lives. For example, dare you lose some sleep in the middle of the night? You won't be lying there rejoicing and being grateful. You'll be thinking about all the troubles of your life. Worry and anxiety just force themselves into our lives. And it goes on to show how gratitude is delicate. Gratitude is so delicate yet so powerful. It must be cultivated. It's a posture we must choose every day against all odds. We must train ourselves to be grateful and cultivate it in your heart. And you'll begin to see worry, bitterness, strife begin to loosen their grip on you by cultivating more gratitude. Romans 8 verse 28 says, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. There's so much that happens in life. Sometimes you think whether certain circumstances are worth giving thanks about. But you see, I think one of the things that this passage is telling us, this verse, is that God is in the business of renewing all bad deals that come across our way. God is in the business of healing that which is broken, restoring that which is dead. God is in the business of redeeming that which has been deemed to be hopeless. God is in the business of taking our mistakes and failures and letting them be meaningful parts of our story. God is in the business of making whole that which is broken apart. God is in the business of taking our wounds, our scars, our traumas, and using them to heal the world. You see how everything works together for good in the hands of God in a surprisingly good way? And yet, without gratitude, you can miss out on all this. You can focus on all the wrong. You can focus on all that is breaking apart. But gratitude invites us to take a pause to say, indeed, when all is said and done, I'm such a great recipient of mercy and grace. And I am grateful. And that is such a powerful way to begin every day, to begin every circumstance. Gratitude is not where we land at the end. Gratitude is how we begin. How we appreciate that we even have a chance to start. We appreciate that we are even here in the first place. So, my dear beloved friends, this year, I pray that you cultivate a grateful heart. You cultivate a grateful posture. Let us begin by all means with gratitude. Let us continue by all means with gratitude. And let us increasingly see the Lord who is constantly weaving goodness in our lives through all that we face. Be ye grateful. Lift up your heart. Open up your heart to the goodness of God. So allow me to pray with us so that we can continue cultivating a posture of gratitude. Our loving God, we are in your presence this moment together, sharing this space across the screen. But you know us exactly. You are in our midst. You are present with us. You are speaking to our hearts. And as we continue to press in on what it looks like to live your will, your purposes, your intentions for our lives, let gratitude be one of those things that we cultivate and embrace in our lives. Teach us to be humble. Teach us to return and say thank you. Say thank you to you, oh God, for accompanying us, for weaving so much goodness in our lives. Teach us to see the people in our lives that we should be grateful for. Let us be eager to give thanks. Let us appreciate all that has been presented to us. Let us not be like those 9 other lepers who forgot the good that had been done to them and continue living our lives, but teach us to return to that place we have begun and say thank you. And let wholeness and healing enter our lives, enter our hearts. Let us begin to see how you're weaving a beautiful story out of the brokenness of our lives. And in gratitude, let your light shine through our lives as uniquely as you would have it for each one of us. So I pray a blessing to all these, my brothers and sisters who are watching with me in this moment. May you guide them. May you lead them. May this be a year where they learn to walk closely and closely with you and experience your goodness in surprising ways. And when all is said and done, let it be a grateful journey throughout this year. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy
You may get the wrong place.
Amen.
I had it.
So my beloved
Sawa.
friends, be
Sorry.
grateful.
Fanya tena,
May
alafu
God bless
unikiu.
you and keep you and
I'm
sustain you
sorry.
as you move on
Sawa.
through this year.
Aya.
I love you so much, and may the blessing of God remain with you.
Nasema ndio Baba. Nimekubali mimi. Nimekubali. Nasema ndio. Kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Nimekubali, nasema ndio. Kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Bwana watafuta watakao kuabudu kwa roho na kweli, na wakati ndio huu nami umefika. Nisaidie kutenda kulingana na mapenzi yako, kutembea na maagizo yako moyoni mwangu. Bwana watafuta watakao kuabudu kwa roho na kweli, na wakati ndio huu nami umefika. Baba, nisaidie kutenda kulingana na mapenzi yako yawe, nikutembee na maagizo yako moyoni mwangu. Hey, nimekubali, nasema ndio. Kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Nimekubali mimi, nasema ndio. Kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Mimi ni chombo mikononi mwako Yawe, tena ni udongo na wewe mfinyanzi. Baba, nifinyange, nitengeneze, uishe nafsi yangu, chochote utakacho mimi nitatenda. Oh, mimi ni chombo mikononi mwako Yawe, tena ni udongo, naomba unifinyange Baba, nifinyange, nitengeneze, uishi nafsi yangu, chochote utakacho mimi nitatenda. Nimekubali, nasema ndio, kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Nimekubali Baba, nasema ndio, kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Nimekubali, nasema ndio, kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Nimekubali, nasema ndio, kwako ni salama, nasema ndio. Kwako ni salama, nasema ndio.